When people who are not Muslim think of Islam, terrorism and radicalism is one of the first things that they think about, especially where I'm from, the Netherlands, where I think the older people are quite racist in nature, but I don't blame them for it. They hear horror stories from countries like Iraq, Philippines, and France, just to name a few. They get indoctrinated by the news and form their opinion without ever reading the Quran or going to a mosque. And I think this clip summarizes it very well.
So of Islam, do you think people are misinformed about?
Terrorists, I suppose, what people attach Muslims to straight away. As far as I'm aware in the Quran, the worst thing you can possibly do is take a life, whether it may be your own or somebody else. To take one life, to take the life of all.
I can confirm that this is true. 2 weeks ago I finished reading the Quran and I noticed the same. It's repeated throughout the Quran that you should not kill other people. But my question to you, why do you think the younger generation, billionaires and famous people are converting to Islam? Look at Mike Tyson and DJ Khaled, who went to Mecca and reverted to Islam. Or Alfie Best Jr., who recently became Muslim, the son of Alfie Best, who has a net worth over $1 billion, mainly coming from his mobile home parks. After watching this video, you know the reasons why they converted that I have found after doing more of a day of research. Let's talk about Andrew Tate first. He said this a long time ago and it may surprise you.
Crazy thing about religion is this: if everyone was forced to be atheist until the age of 30 and then was told the religious stories and had the choice then if they became religious or remained an atheist, nobody would be religious.
And this is his reason behind this.
I don't know. They're afraid to say God doesn't exist because as a child it was drummed into their brains that God is there. God is not there. I absolutely assure you God is not there.
Back then, Andrew did not find proof that God exists, which he explains here. Listen closely.
God isn't real. There's no evidence for God. There's no proof for God. Every time I say this, someone comes at me with their proof and they need to read the dictionary and understand what the dictionary definition of proof is. It's very difficult to prove something. It's actually difficult to prove gravity, let alone God, which doesn't exist. You can't prove something that isn't there. God isn't there, so you haven't got proof for God. In fact, most of you don't even have evidence for God. Your evidence for God is always, well, I was in a car crash and I was supposed to die and I didn't die, or it's coincidences, it's feelings, it's personal experiences. None of those things are evidence. So what religious people do is when they try and get evidence for God is, they point at the lack of evidence for other things. They say, well, how did the universe get created? And I say, well, we don't know exactly. You don't know, so how else could it have been but God? And that's like me walking downstairs into my living room and there's a perfectly wrapped Christmas present. And someone goes, well, how did that get there? And I say, I don't know. And they say, it must have been Santa Claus. So, well, how do you know it's Santa Claus? Well, you don't know who else did it, so it's Santa.
Lack of evidence. It's one of the most heard arguments against religion. Here's another argument that I hear often from non-believers.
Let all the people who pray all day, praying to God for food, starve, and let all the people in the Nordics and Sweden and Norway, where no one believes in God, literally nobody, let them all be some of the richest, most wealthy countries on the planet. That's what God's decided to do. God's obviously decided to take the people who believe in him and punish them, and let the people who don't believe live good lives.
But a few years later, he decided to change.
I'm going to correct myself. It's not very often I take back an opinion, but I'm gonna take back an opinion.
He decided to believe in God because he found proof for himself.
So I've decided I no longer want to be an atheist. I'm going to start believing in God. Because if God keeps society together, even if God's not real, if enough people believe in a thing which makes society better, then God in some form exists, doesn't he? So even if it's just the idea of him existing makes him semi-real. So I now believe in God. So now I have to decide which God I believe in. And there's lots of options, there's lots of choices.
Back then, he decided to become an Orthodox Christian.
So I think I'm no longer an atheist, I'm now an Orthodox Christian. And for that reason, I now go to church at least twice a week.
But December last year, he converted to Islam, or reverted, I should say, which means coming back to Islam. And it's based on the Muslim belief that all people are born with a natural faith in God. And a few days ago, he had this to say.
I like truth. I like to live in the realm of truth. And the closer you are to the realm of truth, the closer you find yourself to God, by the way. Whenever you see somebody who says I'm an atheist, what they're saying is they don't live near truth. They live in delusions and lies, MSM garbage.
As you just watch him completely switch from hardcore atheist to hardcore against atheist and became a Muslim brother. Just like Mike Tyson, which I didn't know.
Allah blessed me with so much enlightenment.
And this is what he had to say about his devotion.
I read the Quran. I love the Quran. I live by the Quran. I'm a man. I make mistakes. Do I pray every day? No. Do I go to the mosque every day? No. Would I die for Allah? Yes. Is Allah in my heart? Yes. Do I love women? Yes. Do I love material goods? Yes. But do I love Allah with all my heart? Yes.
He even went to Mecca together with DJ Khaled.
The most beautiful experience I got to do with my brother Mike Tyson, my pops too, you know what I'm saying? Man, it was beautiful to do this with you, brother. My first time. Thank you, brother. I love you, man. Thank you. Show them the beautiness, man, the beautiness.
Let's listen to Alfie Bass Jr., who's currently 26 years old, and his reason for his conversion to Islam.
Well, they're very successful people, very money motivated, very entrepreneurial, which, such as myself, I take a liking to. I'm very compatible with a sort of person like that.
One of his main reasons is the entrepreneurial spirit. It's part of the Islamic value. It makes sense that the son of a successful entrepreneur feels compatible and brotherhood in the Islamic community.
I went and watched my friend's mum do his shahada. And I felt something in the mosque that I've never felt anywhere else. I thought, this is maybe what's missing. So I took a Quran and I started reading it. And I love the morals, the respect, and the guidance that it actually gives you.
Witnessing the Shahada is what sparked his heart to read the Quran and eventually convert. Shahada, by the way, is the first of the 5 pillars of Islam, and the belief that there is no God but Allah. Even Mr. Beast, who is agnostic, he doesn't believe, admires his cameraman Tariq by how devoted he is.
It is admirable to see how devoted he is, though.
Yes.
Like he doesn't drink, he doesn't do anything. He's not one of those people that just preach it. He actually follows it. So sometimes it does make me go like, damn. Like, there's something there. Like, he really cares a lot, you know?
So surely with hardship comes ease. This is a verse in the Quran. It resonates with me as an entrepreneur because there's hardship all the time if you have your own business. By the way, I'm Jordan. I did over $3 million in revenue and I've hired over 50 people. And I write the only newsletter you actually want to read. It's free and the link is in the description. There are rumors as well that Michael Jackson converted to Islam before he passed away. And I recently found out that Steve Jobs' real name is Abdul Latif Jandari. And he was born in a Muslim household. But you may ask, what's the first step to convert to Islam? Becoming a Muslim requires a very simple act, but the meaning behind it is very deep. And it is to recite the Shahada, which is basically testifying with total sincerity in front of 2 witnesses. And then you have become a Muslim. Whether you are a Muslim or not, I hold the belief that anyone should read the Quran, Bible, and potentially other holy books, so at least you have an understanding of the religion of billions of people. Yes, reading them takes time, a lot of time. Yes, sometimes they're difficult to read. Study them and form your own opinion, like mentioned in this interview with Andrew Tate.
Explore the Quran, intellectually and critically. That's an invitation that the Quran gives. It's interesting that people perceive religion as something that you have to be indoctrinated into, and you have to follow it as the dictates are, and you don't have to actually critically ask any questions or think and contemplate. And the Quran is kind of unique in the way that it presents its message, because it's constantly saying, don't you then think? Don't you contemplate? Haven't you asked questions? This is a book for those who seek to have answers. It's not actually asking you to shut your brain off and accept what it's saying. It's actually asking you to contemplate its message. So it stands really unique in that sense.
There's a reason why already successful people like Andrew Tate, Mike Tyson, DJ Khaled and Alfie Jr. still decided to convert. With this video coming to an end, I hope I inspired you to at least read the holy books. Not for these famous people, not for your family, but for yourself. To the very least, learn more about life. And remember, start living your life like it is a documentary, because it is. Someone is just not filming you yet. Subscribe for more.